The 12th January 2023, the game social released the new update about the Battlescrolls. Remember that has been released also the new General Handbook 2023 Season 2, and this is related. Remember that I made a video, a vlog about the news about such releasing, so you can eventually find it in the description if you're interested. And here we can find in this video the ones that are related about the announcement on the Warhammer community site and the site about what has been changed and what has remained the same about the Battlescroll, that it's the Gallet Champions, this one. And Revuiew has been, for the most part, the same things as the previous one. There's been modified some things, removed and so on, and others has been added. So I'll talk about them because it's an update, it's not something completely new. And I'll talk about some of the armies that has been changed in this same document, about the points, because there's been changed quite a lot. So I'll treat about the Seraphon, about eventually the Stormcast Eternals, and about the death armies. Not every army, because otherwise really should be quite hours long such video, and I don't want it because I don't play also, so I can't see for sure what are really the change and how effective they are. Still, it's really quite interesting. So now we go to see about such Warhammer community article, and then we go to see about directly for the Battlescroll, so that we can see what has been said there, and so we can understand how many the changes are. So we can see that this is the article, and the advice that has been released, as I said, the season 2 of the General Handbook 22-23. Here we have the video about the MetaWatch, and sincerely, even if it's written all here how they proceeded, I suggest you eventually to watch such video. Eventually you can find it also on YouTube if you're interested about, because such video can explain quite a lot of things that treat about the decisions related about the change of points and the rules that are about everything. So pay attention about such things. So we can find that this is the part related about the download Battlescroll button, so you can press this, and here the discussion about what has been done to understand the changes. So the analysis, the confrontation with the, I can say, play test and so on, but are the players usually that play in the big tournaments and so on, and some little change to try something. So it's not something completely correct. At least they are trying, I admit it, but it's not done in a way that I can appreciate completely, because in my opinion they should be at the start balancing everything, but still it's quite interesting. What it's something that you have to pay attention, it's that they want to change and switch a bit, at least detour a bit the way to play each time of time. So every 6 months or so on, they want to a bit the tool so that can make other units valid and so on. So they are trying to make more articulate the games itself. And then we can see some example, and so this is something that it's related about making you understand how has been changed and where has been changed. So now that has been done, we go to see about the Battlescroll. So this new one, this update, so the Battlescroll that it's always Gallet, but this time Champion 1. See the change and then the points. So we can move to the Battlescroll itself. And here, so we can see about the Battlescroll itself. We had to find some changes, and despite about the purpose of change, it's the same, so it does not change. About the recurrence order, there is the same, simply has been moved the Seraphon in another part, and they are the same, but with add about the Daughters of Cain. That's it, to remove the sentence from the Crash Arm Battle Tactic if 2 or more of those units are witch as or sister of slaughters, score 1 additional victory points, and remove this sentence from the Tide of Blade Battle Tactic. So if 2 or more of those units are witch as, score 1 additional victory point. So this is only change about the order. And we can see then about the Grand Analysis Chaos that has seen a change really quite simple, because has been simply removed the part that were related about the new Battleton release. So the part about the Belacor one, because has been released the new things related, and about the Hedonite of Slaanesh, because has been seen the new Battleton itself. About the Battleton of Slaanesh, the add-on of Slaanesh. I'm glad that has been removed because those points should be or in this document later, or I want to remember you in the facts themselves, because that can be changed quite often. Still, it's like this. Then we can move about the Grand Alliance's death. Here we can see a change that has been nothing, because it's the same. The Ossiarch Bonereapers has been removed previously about the part of them, and about the FleshEater Courts. Sincerely, I hope that such part about they having a word of 6+ will become the fact, so it's always true. But because there has been announced that in the Q1 of the new year, so this 2023, it will be releasing the 2 new death battletons. I'm hoping that at least one of them will be about the FleshEater Courts, because they are quite old as battleton, so there should be a renewal of these and eventually new models. It would be quite nice. Then we can see about the destruction that has not seen any other change than the removal of some little parts for both the Oracle War Clans and the Gloomspite Skids, that it was about adding the following nodes for the Grumpritzers and the part related about the Arachnid Spiders. So this is the things that has been changed. All the other things are the same exactly as has been done, so it's okay. I like that one of the new things, the only things new from the previous Gloomspite Skids is the one that's been removed. And so then we have only to see about the pitch battle profile that's been changed. And here there's been some notes that it's about how it works and so on, but it's simple. Remember that the note it's important because it talks about that the pitch battle profile that are published later will substitute the things that has been published before. So pay attention about such one. And it's really quite simple because it's simple as it works the detail about the points that we'll go to see right now. So we can really make a site. So now we go to see a bit better about the armies that we are interested about. So in my opinion, the Seraphon, some Cartensas, and the Death armies. And so we begin with the Seraphon. We can find 2 different things that are quite interesting. The first one is the presence of the delta, so I don't have to really make a calculus for every of such unit and see the difference from the previous one to the new one, so it's easier to understand how much has been changed. And remember that it's quite interesting because here we can find the name, the unit size and so on, the points, the delta, that it's important because it's, in my opinion, more important almost than the points themselves, because I can understand how much has been changed. The battlefield role, so you can understand the battlefield role about the notes about single and so on and some detail, and the base size. This is quite useful because it understands if you want to modify something that it's related about that specific size, so you can understand on what base to put. So about the Seraphon, we can find that, for example, the Saurus Warriors has seen a decrease on point, so you gain to put them. Instead, the Shinx, the Bastillodon and so on has seen an increase of point as for the Engine Gods and the Saurus Guard. So you have to pay more attention because the Saurus Guard usually has been preferred to the normal Saurus Warriors because technically they were relatively cheaper than the Saurus Warriors. Now instead you can think about taking them, so it can be quite interesting. We can find also the Representative Chief has been decreased on point and not a few, so also can be quite interesting. The Saurus Astral Bear has been increased on point and I think that it's a bit a pity. The same about the Astralit Bear and so on, and the Saurus Eternity Warden, and also the Saurus Sunblood. These changes I think that has been done because there has been the rules about the Saurus Champions. So okay, because they are on foot, so you have to pay attention about, but still you have to pay quite a lot of attention about such things because there are some of the things that can make you really pay attention about the changes, as for example about the Pterodon Chief and the Saurus All Blood on Carnosaurus, and the Saurus Skeleton on Carnosaurus. Why these ones? Because they are mounted, so they can't benefit from the on-foot champions. And really, you have to pay attention about such things, because also the Skinks heroes has been increased on points and so on. Even if you can talk about the Skink Oracle on Troglodon and it has been increased on point. Still, about the Razodon Haunting Pack has been increased on point, and the productive ones, and also the Pteranodon Riders has seen a decrease of point. So there has been quite a lot of changes, really few ones, because except for really few ones has been quite a moderate adjusting more than changes. So you have to pay quite a lot of attention about such a case about the Seraphon. Then we see about the Stormcast Eternals. Here we can see that there are a lot of units that have seen a decrease of point, except for the Liberators that I don't understand why they should have an increase. Okay. But for example, the Celestial Ballista, in my opinion, should not have seen a decrease, because it's yet an amazing model as it was. And okay, you have to pay attention, because we have a lot of models, and if you go to see, there are also models that are characters on foot, so they are champions. So instead of the ones that we've seen about the Seraphon, here we've seen a lot of models that see a decrease on point, but they are related mainly, even if a small amount, to the fact that are not so used. So it can be quite understandable about such. And really, we have to think quite a lot about such things, because as you can see, the Stormcast Eternals has seen quite a lot of green buff about. So there's been quite a lot of things to take notice. And at the end, we don't have too many of them. There are Dracotians ones, Dracotian Guard, Fulminatus, and so we have to pay attention about such change of points. But for the most, as you can see, they are all related about a decrease of point for a lot of units of the Stormcast Eternals. And really, you have to pay attention about this, because it means that if you play with some of such units, you can have quite a lot of gaming, because even some of such units can make you, I can say, space in your rooster for all other units, or eventually end the spell. So it's really something that you have to pay attention, because these are changes that are really quite important to take note, because they are really quite amazing. So pay a lot of attention, also because the specific ones about the Stormcast Eternals has seen a decrease on point, and not few one. Really quite a true game. And then we can see about the death, and we start from the FleshEater Courts. Here we can see that except the ones related about the Royal Terrorghast, so the Royal Terrorghast and the Royal Ghoul King on Royal Terrorghast, we can find only the Aborted Ghoul King increase of point. The other ones have seen a decrease of points, so it can be really quite intriguing. They are really small adjustments, because sincerely the Green Watch I'll not use eventually too. And Nagash, okay, the change of points that is decreasing, it's quite welcome, but I don't play Nagash in my armies, because I don't like to have a god on the battlefield, and I prefer other models, sincerely. What I'm interested more about such change, it's about the end spells of the FleshEater Courts, that are the Cadaverous Barricade and the Cosmic Stampede, that have seen quite a heavy change of points. More of course, the Cadaverous Barricade, it's almost something that if you are some points remaining, you really put on, because it's only 20 points, and it's really something that I look for. You said about the Cosmic Stampede, sincerely I would have hoped even a bit bigger change, because for me, my opinion, 50 points would be enough. 60 are still a bit too many to play it, because if I have to play, I prefer to play the Chalice of Shoran. So it's really quite intriguing. Such changes are simple ones, but they are really quite interesting, because here we can find that we can gain a bit, because for example, if we use the Royal Zombie Dragon, we have some gain. The Crypt Goals has seen a decrease on point, so even a few, it means that we can include something more. So even including only 40 Crypt Goals, it makes you, for example, have the space for a Cardaver's Barricade. So you have really to take note about such things, because they're really quite awesome and they are really welcome. And then we see about the Nighthaunt. Here we can find some units that I would not have thought that would be an increase of point, that are the X-Rate and the Spirit Host, but they are, in my opinion, the best units to play with, so I'm agreeing, moreover because they are battle line. But we see quite a lot of decrease of point. The main one is the Black Coach, 45 points. It's a lot. I think that it's deserved, because it should have been decrease of point for sure. Still, now I'm even more curious about playing two of them together, because yet I was playing them. Now it's really quite something that make me interested about. And we can see also other decrease of point that are quite interesting, moreover about the Charlatans, because also here we have a lot of ones that see quite a big decrease of points, and we have to remember that we are talking something that is related about the champions, Galletian Champions, because they are on foot, because the Knight of Shroud, it's not also the one on street that's seeing a decrease of point, but 15 points less on the one on feet, it's quite a lot. Also the Canvrite has seen a decrease of point, so you have to pay really quite a lot of attention about this. Also the Tomb Banshee, and I'm quite a fan of Tomb Banshee, you know, because I made a lot of videos about my first Banshee related, but it's really something that you have to think, because there are something that make you even more intriguing about playing them. Also the Lord Executioner has been changed, and if you go to see, also other units have seen quite a lot of things. And about the decrease of point of the Endless with the Nighthaunt, I'm not used to play with the Endless about them, because I always found them too much expensive and not so useful as for other Endless, the generic one, for example. But I'm glad that I've seen a decrease of point. The one that's seen the best is the Shaish Reaper, that I always thought that it was too much overpriced. Now it's almost as it should be. In my opinion, it costs at least 5 points too much, but now it's usable. So there are a lot of things that really you have to think about, because can change or the way that you're going to play with, or add new things because you play yet them, and maybe you can change, for example, other things, because for example some things are the same, but something that before was a bit too expensive, now you can play spending less, and so you can use something to more. So you can really play a lot with such things, and so I think that it's really quite intriguing to play with, because really a few units have seen a increase of points, but most of them have seen a decreased. So they are really more convenient, more useful to play with. And then we have my favorite army about the death. That's the Ossiarch Bonereapers. At least, okay, I collect all of them, but at least the Ossiarch Bonereapers are my favorite one, at least for now. And here we can see quite a lot of change of points, so much that we have the Cabros Riders, 10 points less, perfectly agreeing and glad about. But we can see quite a lot of things, and we had also to take note about some of such changes. For example, the Archcavallos Xanthos has seen a decrease on point, but it goes as much as Lich Cavallos. And you can't say that this is because Lich Cavallos could use the Galletian champion, because it's mounted. So I don't understand why a special characters with more and specific rules, okay, playing only in that specific army, but why such ones cost the same? In my opinion, the Lich Cavallos should cost even less. Okay, I'm a bit, I can say, on side because I play 2 Lich Cavallos, but still it should not be something like this. The Mortison Bushshaper really surprised me, the decrease point, because 5 points less, it's not a small amount, because it's something that I think it's quite useful. The increase of point about the Mortison Sunmason, I can perfectly understand, because it's almost a must-have. If you play a Mortison, you play for sure the Mortison Sunmason, because it's the best one, because it can change quite a lot of the battle with an amazing spell and a lot of things added that are for sure useful. But for example, the Mortison Sunreaper has seen quite a decrease on point. I think not enough, but it's more playable now, so it's something that you really have to think. And about the end spells, only the Nightmare Predator has seen a decrease of point, 20 points. It's not bad, but at least you have really to take note about. So this, it's something that you have to pay quite a lot of attention. I don't understand why the Necropolis Stalkers has seen an increase of point, because in my opinion they should not be so worth of increasing, but still okay, maybe because they wanted to make the Mortis Guard more playable, but it's yet more used the Necropolis Stalker that costed anyway more, so I don't understand. And you can really balance with the decrease of point of the other units. Okay, so this has seen quite a lot of things that you had to pay attention, more related about the special charges, but generally it's something that can change your balance in the army, because there are some things that seen a little change that can be quite worth. So eventually you can try to think what you can include in alternative or add in, for example, because for example the Mortison Bushshaper can be now even more easier to play with, and so on. And the Lich Cavallos, it's something that it's always good. And if you think about playing, for example, some Stellar Lords or so on, you can save quite a lot of points that eventually can make use for the spells or some other units eventually. So really quite intriguing. And then we had the Soulblight Gravelords. Here we can see a lot of change about the points. I want to remember you that the main part of the changes are related about special charges named one, so they are not having access to the Galletian Champions. You have to pay attention, and they are mainly related, the change ones, about Cursed City. So maybe it's a way to invite you to buy them. Still, there are only some that I miss, and step by step I'll buy also those missing ones. But okay. What surprised me is the decrease of point about the Dark Wars, because they're quite used, and so I didn't think that they should see a decrease of point. Sincerely, I hoped a decrease of point about the Deathrat Skeletons that there isn't, but okay. And really, about the Necromancer, that has been one of the few things that has been improved as point, or better. Improved, it's a problem because it has more gained of points. I think that it's okay, because it's one of the main. It's really something that you play for sure in every rooster of your Soulblight Gravelords, so it's okay that there is a little increase of points. Still, there will be quite a lot of things to see. I'm quite curious about the increase of point for the Manfred, for Neferata, and for Vordrai, because I don't think that they are so used. Okay, I'm also quite curious about the Blood Knights, because they are good, but I don't think that they were so good to have, even if it's little an increase of points. And I'm really quite interested about the Vargates, that has seen a great decrease on point, because 15 points less makes them interesting now. Before it was not so much. And also about the Felbass, that has seen quite intriguing one. Also the decrease of point about the Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, that it's one of the main pieces that usually it's used, is something that I'm really looking for. I would have hoped also a bit less points for the Convent Throne, but I think that I should not be too much greedy. And still, this it's quite intriguing. But if you go to see, it's mainly related, as I said, about the name charters. So don't think that it's so great, the changes, because it's something that you have really to think that it's good, but not so great. What I should complain, it's about the Watch Captain Algrim that is seen, as I said, for all Curse City heroes related decrease of points, and the White King that still cost, in my opinion, too much, because okay, it's a wonderful modern, you know that I love the White King, that it's normal or on the Skeletor Steed. Still, I think that the special charters should not cost so much less than the normal one. It should be the opposite eventually. So, okay, I don't think that it's so great. Sometimes I found discussing that the White King normal one, it's better than Algrim. I'm not so sure about. Eventually you can write in the comments what you think about such. Still, I think that it should not be almost 20 points. No, almost really 20 points of difference, because it's not worth such great difference. But okay, at least it's not being increased. I should be glad about this. So what to say about such changes? I think that these Battlescroll Champions, it's interesting but not so big as change. What is important about the changes, it's the new General Handbook 22-23 Season 2, because there are quite a lot of changes, even if the main part of them are the same. But the rules about how to use the champions is something that make you change completely your approach to such things. What is important about this Galletian releasing, it's the part about the points, because there's been a lot of changes to see, and so you have really to watch, because there are some things that otherwise you not be able to use as much as you think, and others that can be really quite intriguing to watch for. So it's quite interesting that way. And I want to remember you that this it's only a part, so you have also to see about the facts. I release about some of the facts, so you'll not have some problems related. And really, it's something that will be quite intriguing, because if you go to see, for example, about the endorsed, we can find a lot of change about the points of them. Some has been seen an increase of points, but other ones has seen a decrease so much that it's quite intriguing. Because, for example, the Prismatic Palisade and so on can be really quite interesting to be used. Also, the Shakos can be much better used and so on. So it's something that you have really to think about how to go to use such type of releasing in the way that you can gain, because there are simply the points. If you are able to save so many points to include a new endorsed, can be a change for the way that use such things. Or if you add the units, or the units that you use yourself yet are changed in the way that now it's more easy to be able to play with. For example, even in my normal army roster about the Ossiarch Bonereapers, I save with these changes 40 points. And these 40 points added, for example, to something that I normally use, for example, to gain the Triumph advantage, but or other things, I can save something that can make me add and the space, or eventually add another unit, or change the way that I approach to some type of change. For example, before I wanted to use the Necropolis Stormcast, and now, but I was only able to use the Mortalis, and now I can use them even if they increase in point, because I save enough to be able to buy the other unit that I wanted. It's something that really you had to pay quite a lot of attention, because these are important changes. Remember that in the description there are the links related, and in the comments you can write what you think about. Anyway, from Dino Mode it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video, or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.